The snake, a highly respected totem for thousands of years, ranks 6th in the 12 Chinese zodiac signs. It's not easy making it onto the list. As the only reptile in the zodiac, the snake stands out with its agility, even without legs. The popular Chinese idiom, drawing a snake and adding legs, signifies the absurdity of over-embellishing or adding to something already complete. But why don't snakes have limbs? The once laughable overreach might not be wrong. The earliest snake fossils discovered in China indicate that, at least 18 million years ago, the basic form of the snake was not much different from that of today. However, the history of snakes stretches back much further than that. In those days, their looks were unlike what we are familiar with now. According to research, the origin of snakes can be traced back to about 160 million years ago. Back then, snakes and dinosaurs cohabited the golden age of reptiles. Snakes and lizards shared a common ancestor. His great-great-great-granddad was a real go-getter, 4 limbs and all, a true menace. Lucky for us that humans did not exist back then. So the question is, how did snakes end up losing their limbs? Fossil discoveries show that a snake which existed about 95 million years ago still had a pair of 2-centimeter hind limbs. Moreover, a snake fossil from 90 million years ago also had legs. Nowadays, tiny hind leg bones can still be found on pythons and boa constrictors. Why did snakes finally abandon their limbs? The prevailing view is that snakes were worm-like burrowers, whose limbs became dispensable with all the writhing around in the ground. Another view is that snakes were eel-like swimmers, so their limbs served as unnecessary burdens. Since abandoning limbs, the snake reached its pinnacle of evolution. Not only can it thrive in tropical rainforests, deserts, and plateaus, but it also has homes on mountain peaks and in the depths of the sea. Today, more than 4,000 species of snakes thrive and reproduce globally, making them one of the most successful reptiles on Earth. They are living proof that evolution doesn't have a rule book, and that you don't need feet to see the world. About 5 million years ago, human ancestors began to branch off from other primates, marking the start of a complex relationship with snakes. In the caves of the Zhoukoudian Peking man site, paleontologists discovered snake remains. This prompted speculation that, tens of thousands of years ago, snakes may have followed mice into the caves. They found food and warmth there, becoming tenants in the houses of ancient humans. In another prehistoric site in Guangxi, China, archaeologists discovered human ruins dating back about 6,000 years, along with numerous snake skeletons. The remaining mid-spinal vertebrae prove that one Burmese python might be as long as 4.58 meters. Burn marks were found on the snake bones, and the mammal remains found alongside them showed signs of artificial cutting or smashing. This suggests that ancient humans may have taken these snakes as food for their rent. Of course, that's not the whole story. According to an ancient tale recorded in China's first dictionary, the Chinese character it represents a snake. Living in the wilderness, early human ancestors were haunted by snakes and feared being bitten at night. When people greeted each other in the morning, they would sincerely ask, "Have you been bitten by it?" In return for years of this complex relationship, humans elevated snakes into the upper echelons of the art world, helping them achieve a leap in social class. On an 8,000-year-old pottery jar from the Chahai site, a dynamic scene of a snake biting a toad is carved. As one of the earliest examples of snake imagery in Chinese art, It captures a precious split-second moment before the end of the toad's life, showcasing the artist's detailed observation of the scene. On another painted pottery plate dating back about 4,000 years, a coiled snake-like dragon figure is spitting a grain spike. This symbolizes the maturity of prehistoric dryland agriculture in northern China, expressing ancient people's hopes for a bountiful harvest and prosperity, but also hints at their strategic planning of who would become sustenance if crops failed. Because snakes are so beautiful, they've been loaded up with all sorts of symbolic meanings and integrated into the narratives of human civilization. As the animal kingdom's original influencer, what other looks has the snake rocked? In Australian Aboriginal legends, the world was created by a massive rainbow snake. Its winding body carved mountains and rivers across the land. But that's not all. It ascended into the sky as well. The rainbow snake was in charge of controlling rainfall, with each rainbow in the sky unleashing heavy downpours. For tens of thousands of years, this belief was embraced with enthusiasm by indigenous people. In Mesoamerica, things get hardcore. The locals constructed a pyramid to commemorate the feathered serpent god. With plumage along its body, it not only created the world, but was also an agricultural expert. It taught human beings how to cultivate corn and develop agriculture. Despite the occasional requirement for human sacrifices, it was, by and large, a benevolent figure. Speaking of Egypt, snakes are undoubtedly radiant figures in their symbolism. From the serpent deity guarding Lower Egypt to the goddess of fertility and of the harvest, the guardian of the Valley of the Kings, the judge of the underworld, and the god of chaos, these roles are often assigned to serpent entities. Even the headdresses of pharaohs were adorned with snakes. In the context of Chinese civilization, snake imagery tends to highlight an aura of nobility and elegance. Fuxi and Nu Hua, legendary human ancestors, are depicted with snake bodies and human heads intertwined with each other, symbolizing the intertwining of life, just like the double helix of DNA. They hold a compass and a square respectively, signifying the importance of rules and measurements in establishing order and harmony. And it doesn't stop there. According to the Classic of Mountains and Seas, a text filled with ancient Chinese myths, many mythical figures are portrayed as having human heads and snake bodies. Maybe the deities simply thought shoes were too much effort. Apart from this, Chinese artifacts also showcase images of gods playing with snakes, enabling them to possess boundless powers. The story of Kwa Fu chasing the sun is a familiar one to many Chinese. As described in the Classic of Mountains and Seas, there was a giant named Kwa Fu, with 2 yellow snakes through his ears and grasping 2 yellow snakes in his hands. As Kwa Fu ran, he had to hold the snakes tight and keep his snake earrings shining bright to showcase his agility and versatility in the great wilderness. While much of the mystique surrounding snakes has faded over time, people's reverence and fondness for them have not diminished. Throughout history, people have kept imagining and creating all sorts of snake-related ideas, making them lifelike and ever-changing. Snakes have constantly carried people's hopes and aspirations. Beyond the ancient snake worship, snakes have also shaped many classic characters in human literature, making them veritable artists of the animal kingdom. But wait, they still suffer a long-standing bias. Snakes are usually cast as villains. What's behind this imposed career ceiling? Prejudice or justice? With their slithery bodies, mysterious moves, and forked tongues, snakes come with a built-in shock value. If they were to play heroes, the audience would ask for a refund. Checking itself out in the mirror, the snake decided to kick things off by playing the bad guy. In one scene from the ancient Greek Aesop's fables, a frozen snake wakes up, only to find itself trapped in a dark, unfamiliar place. Terrified, it instinctively strikes with a dramatic scream, killing the person who saved it from the snow. One bite, and it's all fate. In The Farmer and the Snake bites the farmer, repaying his kindness with harm, sealing the tale's fate. From then on, the snake got a new label: ungrateful. In human stories, the snake is often demonized. As a pro, it knew the rules. You've got to stay alive to play the game, and being a monster isn't just about being bad, you've got to have a killer look too. Take Medusa, for example. The well-known avenging fury from Greek mythology is incredibly beautiful, but her hair is made of venomous living snakes. Her gaze is so stunning it turns you straight to stone. In Ragnarok, the end-of-the-world battle from Norse mythology, the world serpent Jörmungandr awakes from its slumber. Perhaps fueled with morning grumpiness, it formally declares war on the gods. Even the mighty Thor, the god of thunder, ultimately meets his end alongside it. When it comes to Chinese folklore, the snake's bad guy image finally gets a break. A snake demoness became human after 1,000 years of cultivation. She achieved top-tier status in Chinese classical literature through her immense charisma. She is the White Snake Lady. She was a medical expert known for her good deeds and broke the traditional villainous image of her family. She persistently chased the love of her life, successfully ran a pharmacy, vigorously supported her husband, and even boldly fought a holy monk. Her loving and passionate personality highlighted her character's charm, making her love story a classic hit. A snake that runs a pharmacy may not be a completely baseless fantasy. After all, the World Health Organization has a snake as part of its logo. The snake also has a story to tell in relation to medicine. Of the over 4,000 snake species worldwide, about 20% are venomous to humans. This mix of physical and chemical attacks makes them a formidable presence in the animal kingdom. In dramas or movies, characters often try to suck out snake venom, which is, to say the least, quite ridiculous. In reality, snake venom can enter our bloodstream through the mucous membranes in the mouth, leading to poisoning. So remember, even without a wound, never try to suck out the venom. Interestingly, humans are known for defying all odds. They have reached the top of the food chain through mental toughness. Many ancient Chinese books and literary works contain records of using venomous snakes in medicine. In modern times, scientists have worked day and night, tirelessly researching the mysteries of snake venom. They found that snake venom is a toxic protein secreted by venom glands, which evolved from the salivary glands. Viper venom later became blood pressure medication, and rattlesnake venom could treat heart issues. Researchers at the Chinese Academy of Sciences purified venom from the Chinese cobra to create cobra toxin, an oral painkiller for nerve pain. Now, let's go back to the snake on the WHO logo. It comes from Asclepius, the Greek god of medicine, holding a staff with a coiled serpent. The ancients viewed the snake's skin-shedding ability as a symbol of rebirth and renewal. Hence, the staff with the snake has long been a symbol of medicine. Beyond saving lives and healing the wounded, what else can snakes contribute? Humans, inspired by snakes, have been coming up with wild ideas for centuries. Indian enthusiasts turned snakes into a game. The game Snakes and Ladders is over 1800 years old and portrays the struggle between good and evil. The ladders represent virtue leading to success. The snakes represent vices bringing misfortune. Whoever reaches the end first wins. This board game, with its deep morals and lessons, is regarded today as a global classic. But snakes didn't stop there. They also slithered their way into math, with their curves just like the graph depicting y equals sine x. These playful curves, adored by mathematicians as scientific melody, often become a real headache during teaching and learning. And it gets even more mind-blowing. During the Middle Ages, alchemy was all the rage in Europe. Alchemists hinted at a symbol, the Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail, saying it represented the core of alchemy, cycles and transformation. After much trial and error, alchemy was disproven, but it paved the way for modern chemistry. In the 1850s, German chemist August Kekulé was struggling to figure out the molecular structure of benzene. Benzene, an aromatic liquid derived from coal tar, is an important industrial material. With 6 carbon and 6 hydrogen atoms, it had a structure unknown to chemists for ages. Then, one day, Kekulé had a dream. A snake biting its tail, spinning in a circle. He woke up and thought, wait, that's the ancient Ouroboros. Inspired by the dream, he proposed a cyclic molecule with alternating bonds, a theory that became a scientific classic. In fact, the Ouroboros symbol had been around since ancient times. On the sarcophagus of Pharaoh Tutankhamun in ancient Egypt, a snake eating its own tail was engraved, forming a perfect circle that symbolized death and rebirth. On the other side of the Mediterranean, inspired by Plato, people in ancient Greece created a similar Ouroboros symbol, representing a perfect being beyond life and death. It had no beginning or end, embodying both death and rebirth, symbolizing the endless cycle of the universe. What about China? Does Chinese civilization have an Ouroboros symbol? Of course! Many objects with similar shapes can be found in jade artifacts from about 5,000 years ago. It's all about a dynamic balance, yin and yang, life and death, constantly in motion. Great minds from the East and West were clearly in sync. Snakes are also a source of inspiration in the field of aesthetics. With dazzling colours and a graceful form, they have captured people's hearts, sparking a 1,000-year star-chasing trend. In ancient China, the snake's shape symbolized mystery and longevity with a coiled loop pattern. Due to its fascinating capacity to shed its skin, the snake made ancient people believe it could come back to life, forever youthful. The bronze snake and frog altar was produced more than 2,300 years ago. Snake heads raise up to show their power to people. In ancient Egypt, people crafted a wide range of jewelry inspired by snakes, officially launching a crossover between myth and fashion and sparking a trend in snake jewelry. By 1840, this trend experienced another boom when Prince Albert of Great Britain personally designed a unique serpent-shaped engagement ring for Queen Victoria, which added a romantic significance to the tradition. A touch of love would make everything fashionable, and the world witnessed a wave of snake-shaped jewelry. Today, designers continue to unleash their imaginations. While expressing the meaning of love, snakes have become symbols of individuality. Soon, restless humans were not satisfied with the simple creation of handicrafts and wondered how to act like graceful snakes. Here comes the Chinese snake fist. It mimics the fluid movements of a snake, with the hands acting as its head and the body moving in a quick, flexible and winding manner, creating a perfect combination of strength and agility. Since ancient times, there has been an elusive, hard-to-describe connection between snakes and beauty. Eastern culture captures this unspeakable beauty in calligraphy, known as the powerful and elegant brush moves like a dragon and snake. This aesthetic feel is also reflected in classical garden design. The quiet, winding nine-bend corridor, for example, creates a subtle sense and beauty with its serpentine shape, leading to peaceful seclusion. In modern times, people finally begin to analyse the link between serpentine forms and beauty. The 18th century British painter William Hogarth sincerely stated that the serpentine curve is the most beautiful line in the world, representing the grace of time and space. It is vibrant, twisting in various directions, and full of vitality. This led to the emergence of aesthetic logic, inspiring a dense group of abstract skyscrapers. The vitality of the snake's curve has quietly entered all aspects of life beyond the realm of arts. This is a snake, that's a snake, maybe even that's a snake. Well, that's our story. It is no longer about a snake. It is about a natural curve waiting for you to discover its impressive charm. And the narrative told by the snake and the human will unfold further from here.